There are some people who live in this our country, Republic of Kenya, who you would never believe what kind of lifestyle they have. London and Dubai are like the local shopping center. Kwa mtaa. Now, of course, some of these people are very different. They are very humble. You wouldn't know that a guy is loaded, if I can put it like that. However, in some instances, this kind of people have children. Yeah, they have sons and daughters. And you can't stop the sons and daughters, or it's very difficult to stop the sons and daughters from splashing money around. And they drive the kind of cars that even if your boss came today and told you he's going to give you a salary for 10 years, you'll still not afford. Now, a very fascinating scenario is developing in Kenya, because all these people I'm talking about are not having life easy just now. Indeed, doctors must be very busy dealing with high pressure related symptoms and ailments in some of their rich clients. You see, the vast majority of very rich people in Kenya have been involved in corruption in one way or the other. And some of them, when they were just about to complete very intensive work with their lawyers and auditors, covering all tracks, covering and destroying all possible evidence that would get them into a court, while they were finishing off that maneno, their cash cows, huge investments, started being demolished. And you have to believe me, it's much worse for those who have buildings in riparian areas that are yet to be touched. Now, the interesting scenario here is that ordinary Kenyans, people who are not rich, like you and me, seem to be having fun. We're watching these cases, people being arraigned in court every day, and we're saying, good, let it continue. Drain the whole swamp. Now we are seeing multi-million shillings buildings being brought down by bulldozers, and we're saying, yes, kumbe this fight against corruption is serious. Endelea hivyo hivyo, Mr. President, we are fully behind you. Truth be said, there seems to be a very serious shortage of popcorn developing in Kenya and amongst those who are following events in Kenya. So the scenario is this. We have one group of people very happy, even if skeptical, saying yes, the country is moving in the right direction. Then we have another group, a much smaller one of course, that are very upset about what's happening and what's unfolding in Kenya. Now, in my view, this small group is extremely dangerous, very deadly. And what is going to make them even more deadly in the days, weeks, and months to come is the new announcement, which came out, I believe, yesterday, from the former Prime Minister, His Excellency Raila Odinga, who said that the fight against corruption will now move towards recovering wealth very aggressively that has been gained through corruption. Now. This is too much for these guys. Because you are worried about being arraigned in court, being arrested, and being on the front page of all newspapers and being on primetime TV, that you're under arrest. You're very terrified of that. Next, your cash cows, the buildings which ensure that you maintain such a lavish lifestyle, are being demolished. They're being brought crashing down. And as if that is not enough, now there is a chance that your bank account is going to be frozen. Wah. Now. This is a case where you must do something. You must. So, what are these big fish doing? How will it impact on our politics? What is the future of Mother Kenya in all this drama? I will answer all those questions and much more immediately after the brief piece of information coming up. Don't even think of going away. Welcome back. Now what we expect next is that something must give. Something will have to give. In other words, something dramatic and something drastic will have to happen as a consequence to all that is going down right now in Kenya. Now if I can very quickly remind you, President Mwai Kibaki, former President Mwai Kibaki, tried to take on these cartels, these people who are being arraigned in court now for corruption, these people who are having their buildings brought down. Mwai Kibaki tried to take them on, and he failed. He failed miserably. Now, with the benefit of hindsight, it seems that Mwai Kibaki didn't have a plan. He just had a general idea that this is what I'm going to do. My government is going to have zero tolerance to corruption. And he had a general idea of how to do it. And he believed that the power of the presidency allowed him to do it. And remember, this was the power of the presidency before the 2010 constitution, which drastically reduced the power of the man sitting inside State House. And Mwai Kibaki was serious. How do you know he's serious? Because he started. He commissioned something called the Kroll Report. The whole idea was to trace where all this corruption money has been stashed away in foreign accounts all over the world, with the view of freezing those accounts. By the way, it's not very difficult to freeze accounts where the money has been obtained through criminal means. There's a lot of international cooperation on that front. So that one is an easy one. It's not so difficult as some may want to think. So Mwai Kibaki was serious, and he started, but he failed. Now comes along President Uhuru Kenyatta. Now one thing we know so far is that this was a solid plan, very carefully strategized, very carefully laid down, very systematic. I think it should be very obvious by now that this plan was crafted before the elections, long before the handshake, because some people have come out and said that the only person who can be credited with the fight against corruption is His Excellency Raila Odinga. I don't think so. Remember, there were changes at the DPP's office long before the handshake. Remember, there were changes right at the top of the DCI, the Director of Criminal Investigations, long before the handshake. In other words, the groundwork for what we're seeing now was laid down a long time ago. And all possible scenarios were thought right through. Something else, you'll remember when the NYS suspects were arrested, the DPP's office told us that we should relax, because you said, oh, there's some people who have not been arrested, there's some people who seem to be untouchable. They told us, no, relax. This is only phase 1. We're going to deal with those other people in phase 2 of this operation. Well, sometimes in Kenya, people just talk for the sake of talking. They talk knowing very well that the Kenyan public do not have the memory of an elephant. What they have is the memory of a mosquito. A mosquito narrowly escapes being crushed to death by your big hands. But then 2 seconds later, they are forgotten and they're back. That is the memory of the Kenyan public. Therefore, it's very easy for a lot of people just to talk. And it's just cheap talk. However, in this case, it was not cheap talk. Because indeed, now we are seeing a phase 2. I am guessing there is even a phase 3. Now, the names in this phase 2 are what they say in Kiswahili, or what they call amongst people who speak Swahili, wale watu wazito. In other words, the big fish. The Professor Swazuri, Evans Kidero, those are not small people. Those, for all intents and purposes, are very big fish. I'm guessing this phase 2 started with the arrest of governors. We had the Busia governor, Ojamo, and 1 or 2 other governors, and those cases are still continuing. I'm guessing that was the beginning of phase 2. And I'm also guessing there'll be plenty of governors in this phase 2. Indeed, if you have not yet seen my list in Club 1999, I suggest you look at it. Because when you go through that list, Your reaction will be, ay. I kid you not. Just use that email address you see on your screens now and get that process going. Of taking a look at a list that you'll have to sit down to peruse. You can't do it standing. The long and short of what I'm trying to say is that these are very powerful people in Kenya. These are people with resources. These are people with contacts. These are people who are very capable of finding a way to fight back. Well, we know a few of them, a few of these big fish, have left the country successfully. We also know that a few of these big fish have been stopped from leaving the country. Some of these reports have been in the news. Many of them, most of them, have not. You grab your passport, you go to the airport, you do all the clearances, and then when you go to immigration out or immigration exit, you're told, excuse me, sir, just stand aside. There's a small problem. And then finally, you're told you cannot leave the country because you're under investigations. Folks, kimeumana kuumana. Translation, things are elephant, extremely elephant. Now, I'm persuaded that the hand of our President Uhuru Kenyatta, has been strengthened by the Almighty God. Almighty God is using President Uhuru Kenyatta to crush corruption, to crush the stinking old system that is in Kenya. Because let's be honest with ourselves, this is not the President Uhuru Kenyatta we know. This is not President Uhuru Kenyatta of the first term. This is a very different person. And the backing the president has got, is huge in the country called Kenya. He even has backing from outside the country. Well, he'll need it, and then some, as the Americans say. Why? Because don't fool yourself even for a single minute that this thing is easy. Don't fool yourself that this thing is going to be easy. You know what the president is actually doing? Is crushing corruption. And not only that, he's dismantling the ruling class. Yes, he's dismantling Wenye Kenya. Those who own Kenya and make the decisions and run things are being crushed. Folks, that is not an easy thing. It's like a person who has cancer, yeah, and this cancer is in his body and it is in vital organs, yeah, and then you decide that you're going to get rid of this cancer, yeah, irrespective of the consequences. Even if the patient dies, you're going to get rid of the cancer. And you start fighting this cancer, ruthlessly cutting it out. And you find within no time that you've cut out 3/4 of the intestines. You've cut out half of the liver. 60% of the lungs are gone. Now, don't get me wrong. There is no other way of dealing with the problems of Kenya. There's no other way of dealing with corruption in Kenya. This, my friends, was the only way. And it is the right way. What we must do, irrespective of our political inclinations, irrespective of our emotions, is to pray for the president. To pray that he has power, he has strength, that God may continue to strengthen him to finish what he has started. Now, there's a worry amongst many Kenyans that a few untouchables, or that a number of untouchables, will escape. My view on that, it doesn't matter. Let's say this thing is seen to its own logical conclusion. People go to prison, yeah, and we have 10 untouchables still out there. Not even 10, even 100 untouchables out there. What are they going to do? Do you honestly think they're going to touch corruption? I don't think so. Because even now, I challenge you to do an experiment. Go into a government ministry. Go into a place where there are tenders. And then go into the supplies department and then talk to one of the people you know there and then tell him you want to see him kando. Unataka kuongea na yeye. Or even try and get a date with him to have a meeting outside the office after office hours. The most likely response you're going to receive is, mzee, unataka kuniua? Unataka kunimaliza? Boss, watoto wangu wako bado shule. Watoto wangu ni bado wachanga sana. Hiyo story, staki. Yeah, that's what's going down. So the truth is, even if the current anti-corruption campaign were to stop dead in its tracks right now, it has already had a very huge positive impact in the country called Kenya. And that is the truth. Let it continue for another 2-3 months, and I can assure you, anybody will be able to say the following very confidently. Ule mtu ambaye ni mwanaume, wacha afanye corruption sasa. Translation: if you think you're man enough, yeah, if you think you've got balls of iron, go ahead and do corruption. Jaribu, try. But let's go back to where we started in this particular video. This is a war, and every person who loves Kenya is rooting for the president. But is he going to win? Well, what I can tell you is that something will have to give. Because if you start a war, yeah, and you're shooting at somebody, you're shooting at one particular point, what do you expect? At some point, they will fire back. At some point, they'll look for a grenade to hurl back in the direction of where the gunshots are coming from. That is why I urge all you prayer warriors out there, pray for our president. Folks, because this is not about President Uhuru Kenyatta. It is about our beloved motherland, Kenya, and the future, and the country, the kind of country we're going to leave to our children and our grandchildren. Until next time, this is Kshs, Kumekucha.